Live from Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM, this is Script to Screen with host Alan Mehanna.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Script to Screen here on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM. I'm your host, Alan Mehanna, and joining me in the studio today is a special guest, but it seems that season 2 of Script to Screen seems to be focusing in on the female representation in Lebanon. We've had more female guests than in season 1 of the show, which is great because season 1 was mostly all male, so this is a balance. Hopefully season 3 will be a mixture of both and it won't be so divisive. The guest that is joining us today is a very, very special young lady who is someone who is going to become pretty much a powerhouse in the industry, from screenwriting to producing a gigantic list of short films. The young, amazing Miss Doris Saba. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Doris, thank you for joining me today on Script to Screen. It's quite exciting because I've wanted you on the show for a while. We kind of spoke about it, but you were involved with a short film, which we tried delaying so that the short film would be done and I'd have you in here with the director of the film. But I figured, you know what? No, I'm going to have you in here first and I'll bring you back once the short film is done. Aside from that particular short film, are you working on anything right now as well?
Let me first thank you for having me in your show, and thank you for working on the topic of empowering women. So we really need this push in the film industry, if we have an industry.
We'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. So yes, I was working on a short film written by me and produced by me, but directed by my very close friend, Miss Melissa Rukos, and it's titled by the 5th of July.
Okay, entitled the 5th of July?
The 5th of July.
5th of July.
Yes, it's based on true stories that happened in Chikka in North Lebanon.
Okay.
And we wanted to treat the topic of war in a very new approach.
Okay.
And our cast was, one of them was Mr. Tony Mehanna, Mr. Julian Farhat, and Mrs. Wafa Tarabai. And I think that the results will be astonishing. I really hope so.
Great. Well, before we delve deeper into what you've done, I know I kind of threw that question at you a little bit, a little earlier than usual. Normally, the first segment of the show, I like to get our listeners to get to know, and watchers, because we're on YouTube now as well, to get to know you, my guest, because again, Script to Screen was never supposed to be a show with only known people in the industry. I wanted to give a platform to the young generation, the future generation of filmmakers and writers and actors and producers in Lebanon, and hopefully globally eventually. So this is a chance for you to kind of introduce yourself and get us to know what brought you to this point. Like, what was it that drew you to the film industry from the get-go?
Okay, so you're working too on youth empowerment, not only women empowerment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I stole that from NDU last year. NDU's Film Festival last year was all about youth empowerment.
No, NDU is your home. You know it. So I'm Doris Saba. I graduated 2 years ago, and I'm starting my path in filmmaking. I don't call myself yet a director or producer or a writer. I usually use the term to be. I really hope that someday I will be earned to be called a director or a writer or producer. And still now I didn't discover myself where I really want to be. I'm still exploring the three.
The three being writing, producing, and directing?
Yes.
Okay.
Mainly writing and producing. Directing, I will talk in a while how was my first experience in directing. Mm-hmm. So I used to write in my school some plays, also in the church some plays, mm-hmm. and I used to act. I used to be active, and my teachers always tell me that I have a way in writing. I write in details, and I can visualize everything I see, and I can turn everything I see into real words, and they can see the whole picture in my head. Mm-hmm. When I entered the university, and I will be very honest saying this, I really didn't know what am I doing.
Okay.
For the first 2 years, I was a good student with a very high GPA. I was doing my duties and my projects without that inner voice inside me.
So you went into university already as a film student?
Yes,
I
entered university as a film student, but I was doing it as I like films, but not.
There wasn't a calling to you just yet.
Yes. So my 2 years were very regular and normal. I was a student doing the duties, and that's it, until someone entered the class, and the someone is called Mr. Sam Lahoud. And he entered the class, and session after session, from his way of talking about cinema and about his trial to build an industry, I discovered a certain passion in me, but I was very hesitant about it till I started writing. I think he gave me the class writing for TV and film. So I started writing the projects, and I helped my friends in their projects too. And he said, Doris, you are a good scriptwriter. And I said, no, I'm not a scriptwriter. I'm a scriptwriter to be. And I discovered this passion from his classes and also from another teacher called Samer Al-Ashi. Also, they both have a great impact on me. But Mr. Sam, because he gave me another class, and it's our senior class, so he started pushing me forward to the script writing, and I started writing the films of my colleagues. And that's how I discovered that I truly in love and with writing. And it started like this. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. This thing that happens in film school, I feel like I would say that it happens in film school more so than it does in other majors, because as artists, even throughout history, there's always been that mentor to younger artists. I mean, Michelangelo had a mentor, and then, Picasso had a mentor.
That's the word. I consider Mr. Sam was a mentor for me.
Right.
Yeah, this is the right word to use.
So I had a very similar experience to you as well. So when I was in film school, my mentor, Tom Garrett, I always loved film. Again, my father is an actor, so I kind of was into the industry because of him, because our home was always an artistic home. It was always a home where movies were being played and TV was always on. And so I entered film, initially wanting to be a director. But it was through Tom Garrett, who literally walked into the classroom on the first day of class, put his feet up on the desk and said, I remember him saying this. He said, who here thinks film is an art? And then a few people raised their hands. And he said, who here thinks film is a business? And then a few people raised their hands. And then he said, who here thinks that film is a merger of both business and art? And then I was among the few that raised their hands. And, he said, those of you that think film is an art, please leave and reconsider your answer. And those of you who think film is a business, please leave and reconsider your answer. And those of you that said that film is a merger of both, you can stay and watch the documentary. I'll be back when it's done. He left the classroom. That was day one.
Funny.
That was day one of class. But yeah, it's very interesting how... It's interesting how we always seek that mentorship kind of person in our career, that person that's going to guide us and the person we will run to. Like even me at this age, I continue to run to Tom, and whenever I'm having to, and I call him Tom now, it's not like Mr. Tom anymore, you run to them and you ask them for advice in career and life. And it's not just about the teacher student thing anymore.
Of course.
They become like a Yoda figure, like a Mr. Miyagi, a mentor to guide you forward. So it's amazing that you found that through Sam at NDU. Miss Doris Saba is a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan, to the point where I was like, can you tell me what your 3 favorite films are? She goes, Psycho, The Birds, and what was the third? Vertigo. And I'm like, okay, can I have some more? She goes, sure. Rear Window. And I'm like, okay, hang on, time out.
I also mentioned Moulin Rouge and the Bicycle Thief.
You did mention Moulin Rouge and the Bicycle Thief. I was going to choose a Moulin Rouge track, but then I was like, you know what? No, I'll just choose a whole bunch of like horror tracks, and that's fine. So we have a few other horror tracks coming up. What is it? Since we brought up Hitchcock, what is it about Hitchcock that attracts you to his story, whether it be his storytelling or his movies in general? What is it about him that makes Doris so happy?
In general, I'm not a fan of this genre of movies.
Okay.
I don't like horror films.
Okay.
But I'm very impressed in the way Alfred Hitchcock treated his films and his techniques. And I applied this in a very funny way. Okay. Alfred Hitchcock, as you know, he used to appear in most of his films. He liked to appear in a very small shot or something like this. So in my senior film, I decided to be Doris the Hitchcock. And I tried to, I appeared in a very short shot in which I was the bride. So in the jury, the jury was discussing the film, and someone asked me, Doris, why did you do this shot? I said, are you trying to imitate Hitchcock? I said, no, my mother dreams that I will be a bride someday, and it's not going to happen in reality. So I wanted to show her this in the film. So I really like not his ego, but how he imposes himself in the films and how he likes to appear. And he left a big legacy, around 53 feature films.
That is very true.
And if you read about Hitchcock, you will discover that he wanted to become an engineer. And then he became he designed he designed some cards, and then he entered the industry. So he wasn't into it from the beginning. So I admire all this legacy and everything he did, and I admire the techniques he uses and how he wants the audience to be voyageurs always. He wants us to not to expect the ending. Right. And while writing, I try to follow his way in writing.
Is there another influencer? I'm going to call them influencers because they're not necessarily mentors, but is there another another director that is an influencer to you, or a writer, a screenwriter that is an influencer?
Woody Allen. Okay. I also admire and read a lot about how he writes and how he directs. Okay. But Hitchcock remains the first for me. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Although you hate the genre. Also, although he portrays women in a not a good way. Right. Yeah, but I really admire him. He does tend to. I don't know if he fully objectifies them, but they do tend to be not maybe 100% developed, maybe. They tend to constantly be the damsels in distress in his films, right? Yeah, and in his films, most of his films show that the character is in a struggle with a woman, and most of the time his mother. And, yeah, right. And he portrays the women as subjects. So this is my only problem. Yeah. I have a book. I have a book at home. It's called Alfred Hitchcock's. Great. A brain fart live on the air. I think it's called Alfred Hitchcock's view on romance or Alfred Hitchcock's romance with blondes or something along those lines. It's such a great book to read though. It's very interesting to see kind of how his brain ticked when he was making his films or writing his storylines, and because there are constantly blonde female characters in his films. Ingrid Bergman appeared in 3 of his films, and she was the dark blonde always. Right. So he has a problem with women apparently.
So as far as your writing goes, as far as the stories that Doris wants to tell, what do you think draws you the most? As far as, is there like a specific topic that you find yourself kind of revisiting constantly? Because I know that filmmakers and writers tend to have like certain themes that they constantly revisit in their movies. You know, like Christopher Nolan has the theme of time. He's always dealing with time, whether it be length or how time repeats or, you know, this concept. Hitchcock had his issues with women and mothers. Is there is there a certain theme or topic that you see yourself, because you've written so many short films so far, is there this kind of motif that Doris kind of puts her thumbprint in the film constantly?
I really don't work on a theme on my movies.
Okay.
I work on the characters.
Okay.
And I think the character is more, not more important, but is equal to the theme, because through the character you can express more than one theme.
Correct.
So I don't focus on one theme, but I like to, now I'm become to want to highlight the focus more on the women and the topics that are related to the women. You know, the situation of women in Lebanon, on the political aspect, and the cinema industry. So I am trying now to like make films or write about violence against women, women's rights, women's participation in politics. I'm trying kind of to do maybe a change in this, but I can say that my focus on my films is on the character, not on a theme.
So when you start brainstorming, you're brainstorming the characters first, and not necessarily a theme.
Yes.
So do you sometimes discover the theme as you're writing through the characters?
Yes,
Is this how it goes?
Yes, sometimes the character will push you towards the themes, and sometimes it's the opposite. But usually, I write about a character. I choose a character from the society. It should be real, not the one we are seeing now on the TV, Lebanese TV, and in some movies.
You mean the bourgeois Lebanese that doesn't really exist?
All the characters on TV speaks the same language.
Oh yeah, of course.
And this is pity.
It is a huge pity. I think the reason why certain films in cinema stick out is because we're like, you know, finally character development, characterization, dialogue, differing character voices, you know, themes, etc. Versus, I agree, our television series industry is hogwash. It's not. Yeah, it's a pity. I'll just use the word pity because anything else I think would be a little risque on
it's the
radio
truth.
show. It is an ugly truth. Do you think that the issue is the writing? It falls onto the writing mostly with the television series, or do you think it's just the whole thing needs?
The whole thing in Lebanon, the whole situation of the cinema is not correct.
Okay.
We don't have a real industry. We have some small initiatives taken by some cinema lovers, and sometimes the trials are successful. But the amount of the projects and the TV series and the movies which are not successful is bigger. So I think that the main problem is not giving young filmmakers an opportunity to write. I know many friends who are very talented writers, but they are not giving a chance to show us their talents. And the second problem we are facing is the producing. The producers are afraid to take or to give a chance to young and fresh graduates. And also there is the third problem is in TV stations, and the fourth and the main major problem is in the audience.
Right. We don't have a proactive audience. This is the thing. We have an audience that will just, you and I spoke about this earlier, we have an audience that will just watch whatever is on TV.
Yeah, they accept whatever you give them.
Right. And they're not going to criticize. They're not going to, you know, and this is why I said it's not a proactive audience. The proactive audience is the younger audience. But even them, they're not going to complain or whatever. Because again, we have constantly needing to please everybody strategy in Lebanon. You know, you can't take criticism. If you criticize, it's a personal attack, and people will walk away, and you might not be able to find work ever again.
Yeah, but I cannot really say that our generation know very well the cinema industry. My mother is from Mehanna and North Lebanon. So in the 80s and in the 70s and in the 90s in Tripoli, there were more than 25 cinema theaters. So this generation used to watch Egyptian cinema, Iranian cinema. They used to like cinema.
Used to be exposed to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have a problem in who is involved in the cinema, who acts, why they act, who writes, why they write. The problem is producers. I'm going to repeat my words. Producers are afraid from giving young and graduate filmmakers this opportunity. Maybe they are right, but let them try.
I think it goes deeper than just fear. I think it's also greed, because they want to ensure that they're going to be making money, and taking a risk on a young auteur or a young filmmaker may not give them what a guaranteed television series starring Mr. and Mrs. Lebanon will guarantee them an income.
They prefer to be in their zones,
right?
In their
and
zones.
we're not going to step out of the box and delve into that. Doris Saba, our amazing guest, Lebanese screenwriter and producer. Tibi. We're going to be talking now, delving deeper and talking now about your role as a producer on many of those short films. What has that experience been like for you? Because that cannot be an easy role, especially for independent cinema. It cannot be that easy. You must have faced some struggles. You must have faced some obstacles and challenges along the way. Yes? No? Maybe?
Some.
Some?
Some. I produced more than 10 films.
Shorts?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was the line producer for a Chinese feature film. Yes.
Okay.
It's very hard to produce a film in general. Mm-hmm. I started with students, with my friends, as their AD, assistant director. Mm-hmm. And then I start depicting the problems from all the departments. They all come and nag to the AD. This is not good. We should do this. We should do that. I said, okay, why not trying to produce, to recommend the right people in the right positions. And I started to produce the films of my friends.
Your classmates?
Films. Yes.
Okay.
I should tell you that I'm an NDU student from the North Campus. Okay. Yeah. So I started.
So not the one. Not the main campus.
One in Zouk Musbih, but from the North Campus.
Okay.
And it was harder to me to start from there.
Okay.
I started assistant director for my friend Sabine Malkoun, the first short film that I participated in. Okay. And then for my friend Emmanuel Cosma, for my friend Wissam Tayyem, Ralph Georges, and all those films, I was their AD. Okay. Without a real producer on set. So I was doing both of them.
Both roles.
Yeah, but my title was just the AD.
The AD, okay.
And then my friend Fatma Rashash Hede came to me and said, Doris, we want to shoot a film, which is a collaboration with MIT School Film in London. Okay. And she knows that I write scripts. So she suggested that I be the script writer. I said, of course, I will be the script writer. So I wrote the film. And then I thought in myself that I want to be involved more in this project. So she suggested that I be her AD. So I said, yes, I will be your AD. And at the third step, she said, Doris, we need a producer. This this is when I stopped and I thought, why not doing the three of them?
Okay.
I'm going to scriptwrite, to be the AD, and to be the producer. And it went it was one of the most great experiences I had. I faced a lot of problems, but it was very successful. And the film from the first screening in Italy won the award dedicated to solidarity.
Wow.
So it was my first independent short film as a scriptwriter, AD, and a producer. And I said, why not? So I started to scriptwrite for my friend, to be their AD and at the same time their producer.
That's an interesting holy trinity of positions.
Yes.
The script writer, the AD, and the producer. It's an interesting melange of positions, because in a weird way, they do interact with each other and they mesh. They kind of fit together. So I think you may have struck gold by mixing these three positions together, because they do. It's an interesting. I feel like it's an almost interesting symbiotic relationship with those three positions. They contemplate one another.
Yeah.
Because one of them, two of them kind of work together in the pre-production and development stage, because you need to be a producer and you need a producer working with the writer to kind of get that going. So if you're both of them, then yay. And then once you're in production and post, then you're going to need the AD and the producer to kind of take over. So it's very interesting that you've kind of taken
But it's all related to the script. When I'm the script writer of the film, I feel very attached to it. So I suggest myself and I say, let me be the assistant director. And when I'm the assistant director, I say, why not producing at the same time? Because it will like save time for me. Mm-hmm. I can do both.
Yeah.
And I'm learning. I cannot say that I'm a producer or I'm an AD. I'm learning from the experiences, and I'm depicting the holes and the problems in each and every department, and I'm saving time.
Right, but that's exactly why I was saying, like, they contemplate each other, because as an AD, your job is to deal with issues that may happen on set and then solve them quickly. That's one of the role descriptions. And
of course, to give a vision in the film.
Of course.
So since I'm the script writer and I'm giving, they are giving me the chance to be also the AD. So I find a way to like be in the vision of the film.
Of course.
And I feel satisfied.
And then as far as the producer goes, the producer's job is to predict any issues that might happen so that they won't happen. So you're helping yourself as an AD by also being the producer. It's just a very interesting juggle of things that you're doing. So that's very interesting. And you said how many films you've worked on so far? 20. Overall, with all the different positions and everything, you've been on 20 short films.
Yes, and 5 in the way.
And 5 that are in... 2
independent films in the way and 3 short films for students in the way.
And the 2 independent films are features?
They are short.
As well. Yeah. But they're not student short films. Okay, so they're students. Independent short films.
Yes.
Well, that's quite an experience that you've had then. I mean, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant CV CV. It's a brilliant credit list that you've had. When will have you done your student film yet? You've done your thesis film already? Yeah, I did my film. It's called Sodad, The Love That Remains. Okay. 2 years ago. Oh, okay. And it was a great experience for me. So you've already graduated then? Yeah. Oh, okay. Ta'ala Shamoun and Tariq Yaoub were my main cast. Okay. And Sodad did a tour in more than 14 film festivals around the world. That's amazing. With no awards, but I consider that
the number of the festivals and the tour the film did is the true award.
Of course. The exposure, and I'm sure you had some feedback from somebody who watched it or something.
Great feedback.
My short film from 2 years ago went into at least, was officially selected into at least around the same, like 14, 15 different festivals. We got one award out of all of them, but it was so like, yay, okay, fine, I won an award, but like the fact that it was officially selected into 14 festivals, when you're putting the what do you call them? Totally forgot what you call them. The laurels. When you put the laurels on the poster or like in a trailer that you've been in all of these festivals, you're just like, wow, okay. Good job, me.
Now
this is very rewarding.
The Insult is nominated for the Oscars. It didn't win yet. We hope so, but it's a winner for
for all of us. It's getting the nomination or just getting the nomination is a huge door opener, which is something that Elias Dumar and I discussed last week on our show. Because we're very proud of the film and what it's garnered so far. As somebody who is involved in as somebody who's involved in the film industry in Lebanon to be, because it's a film industry to be, hopefully.
We're not a film industry.
So I'm going to be hashtagging that now from now on. Be like, thank you, Doris Saba. Lebanon's film industry to be. As someone who is part of that film industry to be, where do you see yourself, or how do you see yourself working towards building that industry? Because I've spoken to a lot of, young, passionate filmmakers and we all want it to be a film industry. We all want us to have something that we can be very proud of as filmmakers and film lovers and whatnot. What do you think the first step is? What do you think that first step is?
Forgetting about our ego. Yeah. It all starts with our student senior film. When I'm working on a student film, I like to work as if I am on a professional set. The students are, and I was a student, are not like familiar with the professional sheets and the professional work. They want like to do a film and graduate. I say, no, I won't work this way. And this is when, in most of the films I'm involved in, I ended up doing a clash with everyone. So I say, no, I have my way. And I want to build my way in filmmaking.
Good for you.
I want to build my way, at least in production. I didn't learn from where to produce and how to organize things. I learned from experiences and from
the best teacher.
Yes, and from the problems I faced. So I don't come to a set for a student and I work on a putting on my head that it's a student film. No, it's a short film. It's a film, and I should give the best I can. So this is it should start. Film is a film. It's a student film or an independent or a feature. You should give the best from you, and you should start drawing a line. A certain school. I want to do my own school in production. But the main problem, I will repeat it's in our ego. Mm-hmm. We don't accept criticism.
Of course.
We don't accept that we go to sets and help for free. We don't support each other. We feel jealous from each other. The Insult is a good example for this. So some supporters, the film has so many supporters, mm-hmm. and some Lebanese are very busy attacking the Insult because of this and that. No. The Insult was nominated to win hopefully in the Oscars. So we should support this
As a nation, yes.
regardless of the personal problems we have with the director or about the rumors the previous films had. It started with forgetting our ego and to communicate and help each other to build an industry. And at the Lebanese Diaspora Energy Conference in Las Vegas, Mr. Sam Lahoud was representing the Lebanese cinema, and he gave a speech about the problems that we are facing as producer, actors, directors, scriptwriters, and how to solve them. So we need someone to listen. We need the government to support us, not to use the censorship against us in each and every movie. And we need to have freedom in cinema. When they give us the freedom, I think we are going to do great films.
I think one of the other things is very interesting, what you've said so far. I think, one of the, maybe step zero is recognizing that we have a problem. There's this very
admitting that,
there's this there's this very popular American saying that says, the first step in solving a problem is admitting that we have a problem. And I think our egos are our problem. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I am one of the, as a teacher myself at two universities, I'm constantly advocating for students to work on each other's films for free. When I was working at university, when I was shooting my thesis film at the University of Tampa, I had a crew of 25 people, including cast. None of them got paid because it's a student film. You're supposed to be helping each other out. If you are not building that new community of filmmakers, then who is? We already have a community that is broken. And then to tackle the other thing that you said, which is our government should support our art. If our government is looking at our industry and seeing all the childish behavior that we are doing, which is fighting against each other and being jealous of each other, literally like a high school playground, if this is what they're seeing, who on earth would give us support? Nobody's going to give us support.
Yeah, but we need an orchestra, like an orchestra conductor.
Yes, we need someone. Actually, in our case, I think we need a dictator.
Yeah,
we don't need an orchestra conductor. We need somebody who is a dictator, who's going to be like, no, this is wrong, this is right, this is how it's going to be done. We have reached the final segment of our show, a segment that I have become to love so much because I get to learn so much more about my guests, and there used to be this great television program called Inside the Actor's Studio that I'm a huge fan of. So I wanted to build upon that and kind of have my own 10 questions to ask at the end of every episode, which is something that Inside the Actor's Studio used to have at the end of every episode. Nice. So I wanted to build upon that. So here we go. You have 10 questions. Okay. These are totally spontaneous. You haven't seen them before, which is very true.
Yeah.
So here we go. Okay, ready?
Okay.
All right. So number 1, what is the film that you would defend for all time?
Moulin Rouge.
Ooh, explain.
Not everyone is a fan of this genre of movie, and it's very hard to do a musical film. In Lebanon, I think we don't have musical films, and we don't watch such genre. So
we used to. This is very interesting because I think we used to at one point have musical films because of the Rahbani films with Fayrouz.
Yeah.
Those sort of are in the musical genre, but the modern Lebanese audience not only doesn't watch it, but they don't understand it. Because I remember 2 years ago when La La Land was in the movie theater, I went to watch it and I literally heard someone in the audience going, "Why are they singing?" And I was like, wait, what? Like, are you seriously asking that question? It's a musical. Like, that's what they're supposed to do.
I think it's a mix of everything. Cinema is the seventh art, so it combines all the arts in one film. It's very brilliant to see such a thing on a screen, combining everything.
And I think I have to thank Moulin Rouge for one thing, and that's to show us what an amazing voice Ewan McGregor has.
Yeah.
Because the man needs to be singing a lot more than he does right now. Number 2, if your life could be defined as a film, what film would it be?
I'm gonna rely on a title, not the film.
Oh, okay.
Saving Private
Private
Ryan.
Okay. And you're relying on that title because
I want to save topics, themes, and characters in my films.
This is where Script to Screen goes deep. It's
very deep.
It is a very deep thing. Okay, so Saving Private Ryan. All right. Number 3. What is a line of dialogue from a film that you will never forget?
I don't know.
A line of dialogue that sticks in your mind right now. The first line of dialogue from a movie.
Nah, nothing.
Doris is blanking.
No, I'm not blanking, but I don't memorize well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll skip that one.
Okay, skip it.
We'll skip that one. Okay. So number 4. Which Lebanese actor or actress, both genders, would you most love to work with?
Nadine Labake, of course.
Okay. You have not had the chance to work with her yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm looking forward.
To one day.
To one day.
Hashtag to be.
To be.
Number 5. Which global actor would you like to have portray you in your life film? So if we were going to make, To Be, the Doris Saba film, what global actor would you like to take on the role of Doris Saba?
George Clooney.
A male?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
It doesn't necessarily to be a woman. I don't want.
Brilliant.
I defend myself as a creature.
As a creature. Okay.
I love this guy. I love this man.
Yeah.
He's a very talented, and he's very authentic.
Very true.
Yeah, and I like him. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Which global director would you most love to work with?
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Number 7. If you could have studied any other field than your profession, what would it have been?
Maybe a lawyer.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if someone wants
again, saving private topic.
Yeah. No, if he wants to say this is a topic that you shouldn't discuss, I will say referring to the law.
Okay. Question number 8. If you could meet anyone from the industry for a cup of coffee and a good old conversation, who would it be?
Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, brilliant. And then you probably say, so about you objectifying women.
Yes.
Number 9. What would you like to have people say about you after you are long gone? May that day be very far away. But what would you like people to say?
She didn't let go of her principles to do a film.
Again, script to screen deepness. This is brilliant. Yes,
yeah.
That is a great one. And finally, number 10, what piece of advice would you give to new filmmakers in Lebanon?
Admit that you still don't know anything and you have many things in the way to learn. I had this problem in me. I thought that I knew everything, and it turned out that I don't know anything yet. So knowledge is necessary. Knowledge
is necessary. A beautiful way to end our episode today. Knowledge is necessary. Doris Saba, I want to say the grandest thanks, because this was a very, very beautiful discourse, a very beautiful conversation. You are clearly a powerhouse to be in whatever you decide to do in the future. I look forward to seeing more work where you are involved. I even look forward to someday maybe even collaborating with you on future projects. I normally say this to all of my guests, but if you have or want our listeners or viewers on YouTube to follow you on social media, how can they do that?
Doris Saba on Facebook and on Instagram.
No hyphens or dots or anything. Just Doris Saba on Instagram, @Doris Saba. We'll stick to Instagram Instagram. It seems to be the more popular of the two anyway. So at Doris Saba on Instagram. Again, a massive big thanks for you being here. Guys, you can join me again next week here on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM for another brand new episode of Script to Screen at 4 p.m. We're going live. I've got a massively amazing guest again next week, also a woman. The women are more than welcome on our show. You can follow me at Alan Mehanna Official on Instagram. You can check out the website alanmehanna.com for all the updates regarding what's coming up next for Script to Screen. So many projects on the way, so many cool things on the way that I can't wait to share with all of you. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment on the video and on previous videos and on the YouTube page, which reminds me, you can follow us on YouTube and Rami and Apple Podcasts, or tune in live here on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM. Doris Saba, thank you again so much. Good luck in all of your endeavors.
Thank you.
All of your endeavors. It's really amazing to me to see people who are so passionate about what they do, who are really passionate about the industry and its future, to be, and its future, but that are also very humble and grounded and won't let go of their principles to be able to make it in the industry, because we all want to make it in the industry the right way. This is something that's very refreshing to hear. Hopefully all of our listeners benefited from our conversation today, because it has been quite an enlightening conversation. So again, you can join me again next week on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM at 4 p.m. for another episode of Script to Screen next week. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being a part of the show. This is season 2 and it's amazing so far. So I'm really happy as to where season 2 is heading. And as usual, I like to end our episode with the statement that I learned from my mentor, the great, the amazing Tom Garrett, and a statement that fits perfectly into our episode today. With let go of your ego, admit you have a problem, knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. So the best way to end the episode is with what my mentor and colleague and friend taught us at university, which is be ready and be humble. The two things that he always used to tell us as filmmakers: you need to always be ready, but always be humble. Thank you for joining us. Join me again next week. Have a great cinema-filled weekend.